What's up, everybody? GeauxBurns doing the breakdown of Mafia III Revenge launch trailer. That's right, we are only a few hours away, well, in the States, from the launch of Mafia III on Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC. It's already launched elsewhere, so I hope you guys are enjoying it thus far. And this trailer does not include actual gameplay, FYI, but it has a really cool song from Ice Cube and DJ Shadow. It's really catchy. I've watched the trailer several times, and every time I watch it, I like it just a little bit more. Anyways, before we get started with the trailer, there is a message from Hangar 13 to all the PC gamers for Mafia 3 that I thought we would cover first and foremost, because it's about to come out in some countries and it's already out in other countries, and this is something you may want to know about, especially if you're playing Mafia 3 on PC. We know how important having options that best suit your PC's performance capabilities are. The team has been hard at work to ensure that Mafia 3's performance is consistent across all platforms. And right now, the game runs at a solid 30 frames per second. That's not bad. I know a lot of people really love 60, but Hangar 13 is currently working on an update for PC that will give players the option to play Mafia 3 at higher frame rates. We'll share more details about the update and when you can expect it to arrive very soon. In the meantime, the team welcomes feedback and would like to hear from you about what performance adjustment options are more important to you. We're actively considering a number of additional post-launch improvements on PC that would give players more control over how they could tailor the game's experience to suit their rig's performance. It's been an incredible journey developing Mafia 3, and we couldn't be more excited to get the game in your hands and hear what you think. So it's kind of a good news, bad news thing. There's no delays for PC, which happens with a lot of games out there, but it's stuck at a solid 30 frames per second, which will probably be fine, but a lot of people on PC, want a little bit more. Most of them have top-of-the-line gaming computers, and they expect it to run at up to 30 frames per second. So right now, there's some negative reviews, unfortunately, for the PC version of Mafia 3, and hopefully Hangar 13 will address that and get a patch out to fix this issue very, very soon. And this is not just an issue that Hangar 13 has. I've noticed it with a lot of other development houses. I guess they focus mostly on trying to get it right for, current gen Xbox One and PlayStation 4. And they try their best for PC. But, I'm just hoping that it runs decent and there's no real serious issues, because I really don't want it to end up like the PC version of Arkham Knight, because that was a very, very bad launch. Anyways, let's get on with the trailer breakdown for Mafia 3 Revenge. It opens with 1968 New Bordeaux, and of course, if you notice, right underneath that, it says not actual game footage, which means this is not going to actually happen in the game. Well, it's not going to transpire the way that it's shown in this trailer, which is, once again, a very, very catchy trailer. I love that song by Ice Cube. He's old school, and I like old school. The new stuff nowadays kind of sucks, whether it's rap, rock, country, etc. The real artists, from, 10, 20 plus years back, I guess I just feel like I'm more in tune with, because that's what I grew up with. I'm not saying that all artists today suck. It's just that most of them suck. Anyways, before I get some hate, let's move on. All right, so it opens in the French Ward near a couple jazz clubs, and boom! Somebody gets their ass shot and knocked out onto the streets of the French Ward. I wonder who did that. Oh, it was Mr. Lincoln Clay. He was probably, the guy was probably drinking too much and complaining about the jazz music. And Lincoln's like, man, I'm just trying to have a drink and enjoy some jazz. And the guy wouldn't shut the fuck up, so Lincoln shut him the fuck up. That's what I would do. Anyway, so it pans to a couple different scenes. One here is, I believe this is either late in the evening or early in the morning in New Bordeaux. And obviously this is a civil rights sit-in. You have several, I guess you could say, counterculture types, hippies, along with African Americans. At least that's the way I'm taking it, because civil rights was a big issue. And, of course, the counterculture revolution during the late 1960s. So you got this happening, just giving you an idea of what's going on in New Bordeaux in 1968. And of course, this scene looks like it's happening amongst, I guess, some dock workers or union workers, for example. And of course, Lincoln Clay is walking on by. And, you know, it's just showing you, I guess, parts of the city and different cultures, different things going on. As all of a sudden, in this scene, you see somebody pull up in a sweet ride. None other than the one and only Vito Scaletta with his fedora, trench coat, and Tommy gun. And some of his boys are, well, they're going to dump something into the river. I don't know what that is. It looks like a body, but, I mean, I don't want to jump to any conclusions. So it looks like Lincoln and Vito are heading out to kick some ass and take some names. And, of course, here's a scene of a cop car driving by. And it looks like a butcher truck. But if we pan in really, really close, there's more than piggies in the butcher truck, as you can tell. And I believe this is actually the Butcher, which is one of the bad guys in Mafia 3, one of Sal Marcano's thugs. And this is probably why he's called the Butcher, because he roams around New Bordeaux posing as a butcher while he actually does some butchering, so to speak. Okay, so the next scene looks like they're disposing some bodies. I don't know if this is another Marcano operation or is this something that Lincoln set up, part of the new mob. Because, you know, there's going to be a lot of dead mobsters laying around New Bordeaux. You might as well find a way to dispose them. Well, the ones that don't end up going to the Gators, right? And, of course, here's a scene of, I believe, Marcano thugs. They're the ones driving around in the black cars. And it looks like they're preparing to go to war against the new mob. And there's a pretty sweet-looking fast sports car going down the streets of New Bordeaux. That thing looks sexy as hell. I sincerely hope that's one of the cars that we actually end up getting as part of Lincoln Clay's fleet. And, of course, it's racing to the dock. And it looks like it's one of the vehicles that you can actually sell. You know, make a little money on the side whenever you take over this district or this racket. And, of course, walking up is Lincoln Clay and Vito Scaletta, checking out their car business, their importing business, exporting. Then the next scene is down in the bayou. Speaking of alligators, one is swimming towards the docks, and it looks like this poor guy in the chair is having a little chit-chat with the lovely Cassandra and one of her lieutenants, and he doesn't look too happy. And you see behind him, there's a couple gators waiting for their noon feeding. And it looks like, I think that's a voodoo doll, or is it a Zimmy doll? It could be one or the other. But anyways, I don't think that things are going to go so well for this poor bastard. And Cassandra seems pretty happy about being able to provide some food to the local wildlife. And then, of course, accidentally gets pushed into the water. Oops, you know, shit happens, you know, damn, some bitch. And, you know, Cassandra says, goodbye, see you later. And she walks off with her boys, Lincoln and Vito, as they continue their tour across New Bordeaux. And, of course, there's some more of those black cars, which I guess is symbolic of the Marcano crime family, because in the very back you have the Paradiso Hotel, which is kind of like the big project that the Marcano crime family is working on. That will most likely end up taking away from him one way or the other. And then back down in the bayou, we got some racist members of the Southern Union. That's their banner. So we got some pretty bad stuff going on down here with some racist, supremacist types. And then, of course, you have just the opposite of that going on here with hippies and civil rights activists, you know, pushing for equality during this time in 1968. And one of these flower girls, which, you know, you probably would see in the late 1960s. And I guess this guy and Burke go to the same clothing store. All right, and so here's some more signs of oppression going on in the late 1960s. And it's sad to see that, but one thing I do like the fact about these Mafia games is it gives you a really good idea of what the times were like, whether it's in the first Mafia game concerning Prohibition, with what was transpiring in the second Mafia game at the start with World War II and rationing, and, you know, going into the roaring 50s. And, of course, you see here the treatment of African Americans by the New Bordeaux Police Department. And one thing I wanted to say is that's a pretty sexy car in the back. That thing looks sweet. there's a lot of sexy rides that came out in the late 60s. And hopefully a lot of them will end up being part of our fleet. Then, of course, you see Lincoln, Cassandra, Vito walking towards Burke's Iron and Metal, coming to pick up their friend. And right now, Burke is kind of preoccupied with somebody. Yep, I think that whoever he's preoccupied with has a date with Destiny. And of course, he sees his friend show up, and then he's like, "Yeah, I'll see you later." And looks like there's a big heavy object with a car on, a crane with a car, I guess. And of course, Burke does the signal with his gun, up, then down, and pancakes for everybody. So now you got the team together. Well, 4 of the 5 members of the team: Lincoln, Burke, Cassandra, and Vito, with the new mob walking around town, taking over racket by racket, district by district. And here's some more of Marcano's mobsters roaming around, part of the war that's going on throughout the streets of New Bordeaux. Some fighting going on here. Looks like a bit of rioting, maybe between both the factions of the new mob versus the Marcano crime family. And then you got Mr. Donovan just relaxing, reading an edition of the Bordeaux City News. So I guess this is another newspaper that is in the game, along with the New Bordeaux Tribune. So mob violence rises as record-breaking heat plagues the city. And there's some more shooting going on. I guess these are 2 rival factions fighting it out. Let's see, Marcano versus Lincoln Clay's faction. And then, oops, Donovan pushed a button, and there were explosions. And now the team's assembled, all 5 of them: Lincoln Clay, Burke, Cassandra, Vito, and Donovan, ready to bring down the Sal Marcano crime family. As you can see, the war raging across New Bordeaux, down at the river, with the riverboat in flames and fire explosions happening all across the 10 districts. And it's a really cool trailer. I really enjoyed watching it. Like I said, it's not actual gameplay, but you could say it's symbolic of what's going to transpire in the game, with Lincoln, rallying these people together, Vito, Cassandra, Burke, with the help of Donovan, in order to bring down the Marcano crime family. And this is a real cool image at the very end. You see the city in flames, you see a reflection, and in the reflection you can tell who it is, none other than Sal Marcano, the main antagonist of Mafia 3. And yes, to answer your question, I am Let's Playing Mafia 3 from start to finish. I've been getting that question a lot over the past few weeks, and I always try to answer that question, whether it's via the comment section on YouTube, Twitter, etc. But there's always new people coming into the GeauxBurns Nation, always asking. And so to answer any of your questions regarding whether or not I'm Let's Playing Mafia 3, hell yeah. In fact, in just a few hours from now, I'm going to the midnight release, picking up my copy of Mafia 3, and I'm going to start playing. And hopefully, I'll get the first episode of my Mafia 3 Let's Play up sometime early Friday morning. And I'm going to do a new episode each and every day from start to finish. And I'm really looking forward to playing Mafia 3. And let me know below in the comment section, which console are you getting Mafia 3 on? Xbox One, PlayStation 4, or PC?